Today I'm out here on this brand new model 2025 Yamaha R3. Now I've never ridden this bike before, but after today's video I should have a much better idea of what this bike is all about. You guys stay tuned to the end of the video. I'll let you know if it's a purchase or pass. I'm Chaseontwowheels. This is the first ride. It's an R3. What'd you want out of it? But you know what you can have awesome expectations for? A Cardo Pack Talk Pro on your helmet. Sounds fantastic. Connects to all of your buddies. Grab one with a discount code right over there. Let's go ride this thing. Hey guys, that's what it looks like and that's what it sounds like. Now before we get this first ride going, we get to talk about the sponsor for this episode, which is arguably the best motorcycle sunglasses from the company Flying Eyes. These sunglasses were originally made for pilot because they wear headphones, so they made these arms super thin, but they made them out of a material that is easily bent and flexible, yet super freaking strong. And while they're made for pilots, you know who else they're perfect for? Motorcycle riders. We do not have a lot of space in a helmet, guys. So these thin frames are absolutely perfect to squeeze into your helmet, and you literally cannot feel them. They are the only sunglasses that can do that and be that comfortable. And if you have prescriptions, these might look like sunglasses, but you can get prescription versions and magnets. You guys know how I feel about magnets. If you guys want to get a discount on a set of Flying Eyes for yourself, there is a discount code here and a link in the description. You guys use that code and get you guys a pair of the only style sunglasses that I could recommend for a motorcycle rider. These are fantastic, they're durable, and I absolutely love them. Flying Eyes, thank you for sponsoring this first ride, and now let's go check out the R3. All right, guys, been a minute since I rode the R3 around, so I am pretty excited to get back on this thing and see if it feels the same as it used to, see how I feel about it now. So let's get the thing going. So guys, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and I've got my bigger Alpine Stars boots on, and as you can see, I've got relatively bent legs on the R3. So for my shorter riders out there, I think, especially if this is your first bike, I think this would be a phenomenal choice, especially mixed with a lighter weight, but we'll talk about all those details later on. Let's get this thing going and get to first riding. By the way, guys, before we get too far into the first ride, if you guys are wanting to keep up with all of the info going on around the channel, what videos we're coming out with, secret little projects, we have a email list you can join. We only email you once a week, and we're going to be doing more stuff on the email list. So if you want to check it out, links in the description, and let's go. Oh, that's a horn, not a blinker. All right, R3. It has been too long since I've been on an R3, man. I am actually excited about this because the R3 I always put very high up in my my favorite beginner bikes, and it's been a minute since I've been on one, so this should be fun today. Since the last time I rode an R3 as well, the competition for this bike has gotten stiffer and stiffer, so I'm interested to see how it holds up. All right, guys, it's a first ride. Let's start off by talking about body position and a Porsche. Hello, 911. So, guys, body position-wise on the R3, I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised at how crunched up the lower half of you are on the R3, like from my waist down. And then my upper half is only slightly leaned forward. My arms have a slight bend, and as you guys can see, we got clip-on style handlebars here. So you end up feeling very aggressive on the lower half and then kind of relaxed on the top half. I remembered the R3 as being an overall aggressive body position, so this was kind of surprising. I don't necessarily hate it, but I just don't like how crunched up I am on my lower half. And then the seat, I would say the seat's on the slightly harder side of medium, but it covers my whole butt, so I feel pretty good about that. And I like how the seat kind of tapers in and makes it a lot easier to get even more ground clearance. So I think it's gonna make for a more confidence-inspiring ride, having so much ground clearance, that is. So guys, let's talk about the engine in the brand new R3. Nothing much has changed in the engine. It's still Yamaha's 321cc parallel twin. It's good for around 41 horsepower and 21 foot-pounds of torque. And the main difference engine-wise with the new R3 is that they've added an additional assisted and slipper clutch to the motorcycle. And what that is supposed to do is increase the smoothness of shifting and engine braking. So we'll talk about that in detail here in a second. Now, as far as city riding, that 321cc parallel twin, I feel like it does a really good job at lower speeds. You know, parallel twins are good with that, so I don't think anybody's really going to have a hard time with the power delivery in the city. It's when the highway that it gets a little questionable, but we'll get on the highway later in the video and we'll talk through that. But I feel like the R3 has plenty of power for here on the city streets. Weight-wise, the bike is coming in at 375 pounds, so definitely on the lighter side of motorcycles, which is awesome for city riding. It takes no energy to go back and forth. I will say, with the handlebar setup, you are not going to be flicking it left and right like you will with a handlebar. With clip-ons, it just, you know, your weight is different, but getting it changed position is very simple and easy, no problem there. Very easy to weave in and out of traffic if you need to do stuff like that. It just takes a little bit of energy and time to get the bike going, which makes it a better, sportier entry-level bike, I will say. You guys will have to help me out. These mirrors seem huge, but somehow I feel like I don't have a good presence about me and knowing where cars are around me. I don't think the mirrors do a good job, which is strange because of how big they are. Like, I just don't feel confident with those mirrors right now. I will say riding the bike around the city is when you really start noticing that slipper clutch. On decel, the bike is a lot smoother, like when the engine brake is engaged and stuff like that. I really like that on an entry-level motorcycle. I think Yamaha did a good job to add that because it just increases the overall smoothness of the entire ride, which, you know, I don't know if you guys, how long you've been riding, but when you start riding, there's so many things you're trying to learn. So anything a motorcycle manufacturer can do to make that as smooth as possible, I think is a really good use of time. So good job, Yamaha, for doing that. Making the R3 even better of a beginner bike. All right, let's get this thing leaned over. On the little turn. Ah, they went inside, dang it. I'm always impressed with this bike. It doesn't have a ton of power, but it does not stop you from having a good time on it. And as long as you have that combo, it doesn't matter like what CC your bike is. That car that cut me off still got behind me. Well, that doesn't make sense. If you're going to get in the far right, get in the far right. If you're going to get in the middle, get in the middle. But let me get in the lane and go. Hell yeah, brother. Let's go with the wheels. Even though the calipers are not matching the paint, I'm going to look past it. Speaking of matching, that is one of the updates for the 2025 R3. Is what Yamaha calls their R styling, aka Yamaha gets a look for their R style bikes and they make them all look the same. And the R3 in 2025 is now matching perfectly with the R7 and the R9 that's going to be coming out soon. Yamaha probably does the best job of every manufacturer of making sure that their lines look the exact same. Like, what is happening with traffic today? I don't understand. Get me out of it. Get me out of this damn traffic. Luckily, I'm on a tiny bike that can just weave through traffic. As a side note, please do not weave through traffic while riding motorcycles. Yeah, guys, Yamaha does such a fantastic job of making sure their bikes are synced up. The last couple of years, ever since the R7 came out, there was this kind of weird period where the R7 looked new, but then the R1 didn't really match, and then the R3 looked like the old R stuff. So there's a little weird period where some of the bikes didn't match up. But as of 2025, their entire line is now synced up. And you guys can let me know what you think about in the comments down below. Personally, for some reason, I don't love the way the R3 looks, but I think the R7 and the R9 look cool. So I don't know how they can look so similar, but I don't like the R3, or at least I don't like it more than I used to like it. So there's that going on. Anyway, personal preferences, you guys let me know in the comments. We can have a little chat down there about styling details. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to be preparing my brain for the 40 to 80 pull. Because up here we're going to be getting onto the highway, and we got to see how fast the R3 will get there. And with it being a 300cc bike, this is what everybody wants to know, it seems. Can the R3 get on the highway? Can it maintain highway speeds? We are about to find out. Traffic has been grotesque today. Have you guys ever found yourself wondering how fast a 2025 Yamaha R3 will go from 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour? Me too, and today we find out. All right, we're gonna get it at 40, then we're gonna pin it. We're gonna see how fast she gets there. It's a third gear situation. On your mark, get set, go. Let's go R3. Let's go R3. Wow, that gear lasted way longer. And that's 80, woohoo! Bro, those gears last so much longer than you would think. You lose a little power at the top, but what was the time on that? For a 300cc bike, that is not shabby, or at least I don't think so. Alrighty guys, we're here on the highway with the R3, where not necessarily where the bike is, you know, meant for. Now, it is a bit windier of a day, and the windscreen really shoots the air directly at my face and lower helmet. So I do feel like I'm getting bobbled around quite a bit here on the highway. I'm getting a lot of wind on my arms, and I don't know how much of that is the windy day, but it's also just, you know, it doesn't have a lot of weight to kind of stabilize you. The having the clip-on's body position helps a little bit, but overall I don't feel the most stable here on the highway. I am currently going 79 miles an hour in 6th gear, going, what is that, 8,900 RPMs, and I've got a little power left in the tank to get up to 90, but I wouldn't say the R3 is dangerous on the highway. It definitely has enough power to do this, but I will say you are stretching the little bike to do this. I wouldn't tour on this for sure, but if you have some like light commuting, I don't think this bike will have a problem, and hopefully this answers the question, is the R3 fast enough for the highway? It certainly is. As you guys can tell, I got a little pickup if I need to get around traffic. It's not dangerous. I will say the bike is surprisingly smooth given how high in the RPMs I'm having to sit with the bike. There's not a lot of vibration. There's a little tiny bit of my feet, little tiny bit of my hands. Overall, no issue though. And obviously there's no cruise control on this bike, and nobody would expect that, I don't believe, but a very light throttle, so I can just rest my hand on the throttle over here. So I don't really need cruise control. Now I can tuck in here, and that helps me a little bit, but overall it's not really gonna be that much to help on a really windy highway like we have today. Like, I am constantly being blown left and right now. Overall, I think the R3 is kind of what we would have expected for a highway on an R300. I'm not gonna buy this bike for this, but if I have to do it, I don't think I'm gonna complain that much, as I just did, or did not, whichever one. All right, let's scrub some speed off and get the bike leaned over, because that is much more of the happy place for the R3. Small bike, small tires, small power, but that makes it very simple to play this game, which is Yamaha's thing, right? They make, like, the R line at least, sporty little bikes. Bike feels fantastic right now. Suspension feels good. Like, the bike feels locked. I'm even happy with the stock tires, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm typically kind of critical of Yamaha's the stock tires they put on some of their bikes, but these have felt awesome so far. I don't even know what they are, but I'm happy with that. I'm actually surprised with that suspension. That bike got locked in on that turn and had no problem. This is that parallel twin, baby. You just get it revved out and let it go. You can have an awesome time on a lower CC bike, and if somebody tells you you can't, you need to tell them they're not good at riding. This car is going to be up my ass as a cop is right there. You want to keep up my ass? Stay on it. Come on. So guys, really happy with the suspension, really happy with the power of the engine, which just goes to show you parallel twins are the best engine platform. Argue with me, I know I'm right. Anyway, let's talk about the transmission. As you guys saw on the highway entrance, these gears last so much longer than I think you would expect them to. I kind of feel like they might last even too long, because so much of the bike, the power of the bike dies off by the time you're at the very top. I feel like the gearing might be a little changed, but overall, not really having a problem with it. I think it did a pretty good job accelerating onto the highway. And I would have to ride an older R3 with this R3, but it could be placebo. But that slipper clutch very much feels like it's doing a lot of heavy lifting with the transmission on this bike. It's just super smooth, and I've really enjoyed the ride on this so far. And to be clear, I liked the R3 beforehand, so it ain't like this is new information. But I think Yamaha, like obviously the designing was a little different, but with that assisted slipper clutch, I think Yamaha's really fine-tuning the R3, which I appreciate. Generally, when a company's got one of the major, like one of the best in the class, you know, that's typically a time where you don't have to constantly innovate and make better. But it's cool that Yamaha's still doing that with the R3. That's awesome. I cannot get over how high you can rev this thing. That needs to be one of Yamaha's R classics. Like the classic things they have with the R models is you just rev the shit out of them. I think that would be like, I will never forget when I used to have an R6 and you could just rev that thing to like 17,000 RPM and it would be screaming, but it's awesome that you can do that. Not many bikes you can rev that high, so that's pretty cool. I like that being a defining characteristic of the bikes. I don't really know what Yamaha does with the DNA on their bikes, but even the R3 has that feeling of the harder you ride it, the better it feels. It's kind of like a weird mashup of like how the engine performs, how the body position is on the bike. All the things have to come together for that to be a thing. And I feel like Yamaha is one of the top in the class for making bikes that feel better and better the harder you ride them. I do like that. Oh, we got bumps. Let's see. You know, suspension's not doing that bad for a suspension that felt good, leaned over the highway. It's a little on the soft side because it's soaking up these bumps really well, but they've just got it dialed, I guess, to be good feeling when you're leaning over, but also soak up bumps a lot. Just nice job, Yamaha. All right, next up, let's talk about the cluster and the controls up here. Nothing crazy to talk about. This bike doesn't have crazy modes or integrated menu that you have to go through, and also there's not a lot to do. You've got the blinkers here, you've got the high beam, low beam, turn signal, and the horn. The horn's kind of a weird spot, and as you guys saw earlier, I accidentally hit the horn. I don't really love that little area. I think the horn might be a little too close to the blinkers. And then here on the right side, you have your hazard lights, you got your crank, and then we have a new LCD dash, which if I'm gonna be honest, it's fine. I can see it really well if the sun is behind me and shooting onto it, but otherwise it kind of gets really dark in there and I have a hard time seeing it. And it's an LCD dash. It's you know, the old school Game Boy situation. I'm not gonna harp on it too much. I don't prefer it. Yet, I have an MT10 from 2019 with a similar style dash, and it is what it is. If you like a cool TFT dash, you know, there's other bikes in the market with better dashes. That is definitely, like, and that's the newer dash that Yamaha put on the R3. I definitely feel like Yamaha, even on their lower CC bike, they do need to just bite the bullet and put a TFT on it, but I also realize I would probably raise the, what is it, $54.99 MSRP. So, it's one of those things. In my personal opinion, that should be a TFT, and the price shouldn't change. My personal opinion. I know there's a lot more details to go into that than just like,
oh cool, Chase, we'll just do that.
But I think that would make the R3 even more competitive in this space. And finally, we have the levers up here. They're fine. The feeling on them is, I feel like the clutch actually feels good because of that slipper clutch. I've got a good clutch feel. I think it matches the bike really well. We do have ABS front and rear on this bike, and so far I have not had a problem with the brakes at all. They're a little soft and they take some time to really bite, but the bike is also really light, so I haven't really had an issue with that. The rear brake is, I mean, it's a rear brake. There's not a lot going on there. If I could change anything on this bike, brake-wise, I think I would have the rear brake bite a little harder, period. Because it's just, I don't want to call it meaningless, but it's close. Oh yeah, final thing on this bike, is this a USB? Oh, it is. That's awesome. Yamaha put a little USB thing so you can charge your phone or something. Nice job, and that's how the bike comes. That's really cool. So guys, at the end of the day, the question is the R3 from Yamaha a purchase or a pass? In my opinion, guys, the R3 maintains its high level. Look at that, an older R3. F yeah. The R3 continues to be one of the best low cc sport bikes in the market. I think a lot of people see 300 and they're like,
way too slow.
but the R3 is capable of so much more than I think a lot of people give it credit for. And if you're asking me, it is an undoubtable purchase. It is such a fantastic motorcycle. I haven't decided if I'm a fan of the looks of the new looks or not yet. I'm kind of leaning towards no, but you guys can let me know in the comments down below. Overall, I love that they have the assisted slipper clutch now. They got the new styling. We've got LEDs everywhere, and the bike's coming in at right at $5,500. I think it's a fantastic motorcycle, especially if you're a shorter rider or if you are getting into motorcycling and you have no riding experience. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this bike. It's also a Yamaha, so it's basically bulletproof. Overall, fantastic bike, definitely a purchase, and I think anybody that gets this bike is going to really enjoy it. Also, I do want to give a shout out to my guys over at Mountain Motorsports. That's who we borrowed this bike from. If you guys want to check them out, we'll have a link in the description down below where it says bike provided by. Make sure to give Mountain some love, guys. They are the ones that provided the bike, so I wouldn't have been able to do this bike review without their assistance. So we appreciate them helping us make this content for you guys. If you guys got to this point in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you like motorcycle content. If you guys want to watch more first rides, I'll have a playlist link in the description down below. You guys make sure to share this video out with somebody that you would want to go on a ride with the brand new 2025 Yamaha R3. I'm Chaseontwowheels. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.